All right, what's going on, world? Hope you're doing all right. I am here with a new video for you. Very excited to share this one because I have reason to believe that this is the most groundbreaking research that I have come across as a metaphysicist. Speaking as a metaphysicist here. And so it doesn't really matter what my label is, quite frankly. The point is, um, I'm here to talk about what I believe to be more or less my prediction for uh, the next 23 years until 2047. And so, if you for any of the government conspiracy types out there, anybody who wants to have a take on trying to figure out how to plan for the next few years, this is my personal take as the psychonaut that I am to give you some insights. So here's my face, and I present to you the information that I've found thus far. So let's dive in. So, got my notebook here. This is going to be super long, by the way. This is going to take what I hope to be within an hour. It took me, by the way, about 13 hours to get all this information together. And so what I hope to be is on this 14th hour, I can present all the information clearly. So bear with me, please, as I move everything around and kind of go back to the beginning of where this journey, at least, yeah, where this journey began, this sort of like analyses, if you will. Let's dive in. I think I'm going to pull up a Word document here for this. And we're going to, I'm going to create a table. All right. Create a little table here. And then we're just going to talk about a bunch of different things. But the main focus, I'm going to start this entire thing with Revelations. This is Revelations. If I haven't said it already, I hesitate to say that. Speaking as a Christian, I don't like coming off as a Bible thumper. But, this is Bible thumping 101. We're about to thump this Bible all the way. All right. So here we go. Where did this journey begin for me? I mean, this whole thing is Revelations, right? Where did this journey begin for me? I think I decided to read the Bible because I was actually really inspired by someone else, Carlos Castaneda, and I've talked about him in some of my other videos. But he showed me a lot about this whole idea of wanting to be a sorcerer or something like that. And I bought into the idea, and I got really immersed into how these things work. So that said, these are my revelations, using the practices that I got from Don Juan, essentially. Didn't get everything right, but I can tell you now that I have learned a lot of valuable lessons. And so there's a shout out. And the goal right now is to then grab that information and then take it to the next level. And that's essentially what I've been up to since then. And I got to give you a little bit of there's the ethos, pathos, logos, right? As far as giving a presentation, right? Let me just make sure I know what that is. So logos appeals to the audience's reason. We're going to do a lot of that. Ethos appeals to the speaker's authority. And then pathos appeals to the emotions. So I just gave you all a little bit of ethos there. And I think it's important, and I'm going to actually be, looping around. I'm actually going to be looping around those three, but understand that I will be constantly in this loop as I, try to get this analysis down for you. So let's dive in, starting with ethos. I really feel compelled to talk about ethos because for me, it's just been whoa. Okay. And so before we even dive into Revelations, I will talk about, simply put, Nagual and Tonal. And not everybody's going to understand what those are, right? This is, by the way, these terms are Mesoamerican terms, right? So, you can do your research, and explore what Nagual and Tonal are. But to me, it's very analogous to yin and yang, and that's actually a lot of where my research more or less began. It still is ongoing because I haven't figured it all out, but I've been trying to just understand this idea. And what I've concluded more or less is that there is a dialectic quality about the universe, and if you're a Christian, you would you clearly use the word, like, say good and evil, up and down. I'm not going to use good and evil here because I don't think it exactly lines up to that. But the idea is that there's these two components that describe the human being. These are two halves of your whole, right? And so you can see that in the yin and yang symbol, right? I guess I'll pull it up. Why not? All right, for here, we'll just start with the very, very basics and kind of present to you all more or less a theory. But to me, I would say is more hypothesis. But this is my evidence if it's a theory, right? And so we got basic yin and yang here. Again, think about flow, think about the universe, think about energy, right? The other way that I've interpreted it, that has made it a little bit more grounded for me as someone who's been an English speaker, especially in the U.S. I think I have found that nagual is flow, because in Spanish, agua means water. So this is flow, and then you got tone, flow and tone, basically. And so you can think of the former to be kind of the part that's like more instinctual, right? It's the more instinctual side of you. It's the part of you that is actually operating when you're sleeping. It's like your subconscious part. It's the part that will, keep you alive if there's a burning fire. This is raw instinct, right? And then you've got tone, which is more like, literally your word, the way you communicate, the way you think, the way you structure your ideas, right? The way, if you're an architect, the way you design. So it's a lot more linguistic, right? So I think flow, another similar analogy here is instinct and what would it be? Linguistics, basically. So more or less these two domains. And so you can kind of think of it almost a heart and mind analogy there too. But I think that's an oversimplification, as you'll see. In fact, all of this ends up being a complete and total simplification because there's an even better model to describe what I'm getting at here. Okay, and this is the model. I'll pull it up. We've all seen this. I mean, most of us Westerners by this point have seen this symbol, have seen this here. Okay, but these are the chakras. Okay, these are the Hindu chakras. Okay, and this is actually a more accurate representation of what a human being is. It's not just two halves, but there is a center of gravity, and the center of gravity is the heart. All right, so shout out to anyone who's been, getting into this, right? And when you realize what these colors represent, they represent a rainbow. And so a rainbow is a reminder to all of us that we are human beings. We're not just physical beings. We are also spiritual beings. And this diagram shows that. We are mostly physical, but we have still out-of-body components, right? So this is the essence of what we're diving into. And so what got me this far in the journey has been the fact that I was already exploring kind of like my own self, right, in this process. And it got me to where I'm at today. Okay, so here we are, finally learning, Hindu. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces, and I've seen, things. I've seen, images and art and whatnot. But like, I have not taken a close look at this until now, and it's really cool to see how it all starts to line up. So, if you're someone out there who likes to combine different religions together and try to find a more universal theory of the truth, this is going to be this is why I think it's metaphysics effectively, right? So let's keep this rolling. I'm going to create a table here. Okay. This image is a little too big right now. I'm going to create a table. And the idea is I'm going to be adding columns to this table. And we're going to try to see how many things can match up with this. And this, and you're going to be, this is like the main thing. So let me make sure I got my notes here. I'm going to make sure I got all the ones because I'm actually kind of more or less creating a formula here. Okay, this is something that can be useful. I think I have reason to believe it could be useful, but I want to make sure that we got all the components. So first things first, I highly recommend that you read Revelations. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to like read it every single step of the way through because it takes about 13 to 14 hours to do it. So my advice is that you go and read it yourself. It takes about 13. And so I'm not going to do that in this video. It would take too much time. Instead, I'm going to just like maybe pull out some quotes and also get into the basically the synthesized data that I have found, that I've been taking notes on. And you'll see there's a little bit of number game here, but it's mostly just like, bits and pieces, right? But they're big. They're essentially a puzzle and they all fit together. I'm basically going to show you my mathematical proof to what I have just proposed as my more or less hypothesis. My hypothesis is that there is that humanity has already established a model of what we are as human beings, and to add to that, Revelations actually explains to us in detail of what's going to happen the next 23 years. And so this is in essence, this is the work of a good old psychohistorian at play. All right. So there's a shout out, So I'm just going to stick to this. It may not be exact. I may have to make some adjustments, but I just want to make sure I have 8 rows, and I do. Okay, so I'll write out the formula, simply put. Once you actually get into it, the first thing that the Revelations talks about are these 7 angels of the 7 churches of God. And so these angels and spirits, it's a word that's interchanged. Spirits and angels are synonymous. So, if you want to, if I want to like be mathematical about it, angels and spirits, are literally like synonymous terms. Okay. They literally mean the same thing. So you don't have to worry about that. For those of you who want to be extra precise, don't worry about that. So first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to list the spirits. The 7 spirits of God, right? There we go. All right, and so 7 spirits of God, and or I should really start with the 7 spirits of God as well as churches. 7 spirits of God, 7 spirits / churches of God, basically. You can think of the church as essentially the gathering of people, and you can think of the spirits as what people are gathering around, in essence. It's the Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit. It's some version of the Holy Spirit, basically. And that's what it is. This is the Holy Spirit. Oh, and by the way, another way to look at this is to understand that the Nagual is the Holy Spirit. And then the tonal would be like, I guess, voice of God, voice of the Lord, and voice of the Lord. There you go. It's got to be all caps, right? 2 different parts of God, from what I understand. I digress. So, as we continue here, hopefully the audio is good. Confirm that. Mic test. I didn't test in the beginning, so okay. I think we're doing fine. All right. Okay, so let's write out the 7, and I'm going to stick to the order because the order is really important. Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, depending on which version of the Bible, Thyatira, Sardis. Who did I misspell Thyatira? I think we're good. Sardis, Philadelphia, and finally, Laodicea. And so already, I'll tell you, man, I spent some time trying to figure out, like, the names of these and what are these churches. And I think I've come to have a sense as to what I believe are these 7 churches. And I don't want to put that on the table, but I guess we will do that down here. I'm going to do it again. Let me see. I might be able to copy and paste this. Create another table. Okay. So, like as of 2024, religion Oh, I guess. Okay, I got it. As of 2024, because I'm trying to line this up with the 21st century, right? Where it's got to be relevant to what's happening in the world, right? With things that are happening right now, you know, need I say more? Okay, so as of 2024, these are the churches of God according to Revelations. To be specific, the seven churches of God, and I think these are going to be the seven uh, uh, modern world religions that I think are the equivalent um, to that. So I apologize in advance for anyone whose religion I don't mention for whatever reason. I'm sorry. This is just what the data shows, and I'm not here to speak for the data. I'm simply here to present the data that I have. So there is. So I said what I said. Okay. Let's jump in. We've got Ephesus, and I believe Ephesians, more simply put, are the Abraham religions. So that's going to include your Christians, your Judeo, your Jews, and it's also your Muslims as well. I have reason to believe it's all of them, and anybody else who I haven't mentioned. This may even apply to perhaps even Zoroastrian, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure. But there are multiple groups that would more or less belong to the Church of Ephesus. I guess I should add another column because I need to provide the reasons, like my evidence, right, for this, right. The reason why, because I can pull up the quote and we'll do that. Let's do that actually. We're gonna do that real quick. So this is gonna take a minute. It's gonna be a little slow, but I think we can get through it. There's my Jordan Peterson. He's chilling out. He gave me the thumbs up, so we're good to go. We're good to go. Green lights. But hold on, where is? I had the Bible here somewhere. I lost it. So bear with me. Technical difficulties as I try to figure out where the freak it went. I'm somehow being distracted right now. Like my mind is just being completely distracted right now as I'm trying to get everything together. So I really do apologize, folks. For those of you who are extra patient, it is worth the wait. That much I can guarantee. So I think, since I don't know where it went, I must have closed it out. I'm going to just go ahead and reopen the Bible, and trying to think about where I even saved the thing. So hold on. Trying to think here. I may have to edit this part of the video out. So yeah, I'm totally spaced out right now, folks, and I'm really sorry that I'm fighting like this. I'm fighting. I'm not giving up. We're not done just yet. We're still in the fight. You hear that? You hear that, motherfucker? Still in the fight. All right. So, come on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Where is it? Where's the knowledge? Man. All right, I think I finally found it. My goodness. And right here. Okay. Got it. All right. Right here. So yeah, if you've made it this far, you are a trooper. That was a test. That was a test for all of us, apparently. Because this is not necessarily for everybody to be heard. So know that. So anyways, I finally got the Bible pulled up, got this electronic version. I wouldn't advise doing that, but um, so far so good. So bear with me with that. We're going to go to Revelations. By the way, don't take. Okay, I should shut up. Um, let's dive in and focus on this part here, which is what is this? King James version. I think we would probably stick with the King James version. Although I did also use the English Standard Version as well. Okay. By the way, I do trust BibleRef.com. Okay. So I trust them. This is my source, by the way. Okay. So if they have it wrong, then that means I fucked up big time. Okay. Just saying that too. But yeah, those are the two versions I used. English Standard Version was way smoother to read, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any important details, so I checked over the King James Version, and it was simply Old English. I didn't see too much that was new information. But let's pull up the quote, right? Because you guys need a little bit of evidence to know why would I say that Ephesus would be the Abraham brothers, right? And so this is here. This is now the second chapter, right? Because he meant the story begins, by the way. I forgot the beginning, but basically John is on a Greek island and he trips balls and he has this experience with basically baby Jesus, okay? And so this baby Jesus has like fiery blue eyes or something like that, and straight up, he literally experiences this thing in the future, okay? So that's happening. That happened. That's the first chapter. Second chapter, here we go. This is what, now we're learning about these angels, okay? So this one, he writes, each angel is described very clearly, and they have qualities that I think are the giveaways. Okay, so for example, Ephesus, this is the angel that has 7 stars on one hand, right? And then it also has 7 golden candlesticks. Okay, so what do these represent, right? 7 stars in his right hand and 7 golden candlesticks. The version I read said lampshades, right? Either way, to me that represents basically science, and to me it was technology. I interpreted the candlesticks as technology in a way, like some kind of engineering, or maybe the willingness to read and write, right? Because when you are, how you say, using a candlelight, and if you imagine how humans used candlelights for thousands and thousands of years, you would know that it was used for what? To see in the dark. So what is seeing in the dark? That is like the pursuit of knowledge in essence, right? So that's one interpretation. And so that is what Ephesus is known for. And apparently, when I look at what Christians have done and the history of how they've explored the world, the history of how they explored science, I can't help but notice that they seem to go really deep when it comes to this theme of using the candlelight in the dark. For reading, writing, light bulbs, powering cities, right, etc. The 7 stars, that represents the science. That's frankly straight up the astronomy 101. And who are the first to know about the 7 stars? It's the Greeks, right? Excuse me. The Greeks knew about whatchamacallit. They knew about I believe saw them as stars, not even as planets, right? But we're talking about, these gods, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc., right? So, that said, that's my reason for why I believe Ephesus is the Abraham religions. What about Smyrna? Well, this one to me is Hindu. I'm just going to leave it there. Hindu. Okay, and it's very clear to me why. Because if we look at the description right here, it says, I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. That's one giveaway, right? They've gone through a lot of poverty. Um, but here it says, unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. Right? The first and the last is what I got from that. Okay? And I'm thinking, like, basically, this is how Adam and Eve looked like, probably. They probably looked like Indians, aka Indians. And there's this long history about India, which is not even what the land is called, apparently. Indians don't even call India India, right? It has another name. But it may very well be the story of the first humans, more or less. And then, by extension, it's the last humans, apparently. And if you've read any other like science fiction stories, I mean, you know that the universe it's going to last a long time, right? And so there will probably still be people around. So you got that. So that's Smyrna. What about Pergamos? Okay, and Pergamos, they're described in the following way. It says, these things saith he which has the sharp sword with two edges. Okay, so words which have a double-edged sword. Right, so these are people who are clever with their word. Okay, to put it in Urban Dictionary terminology, this would be your mouthpiece. Okay, that's your mouthpiece. Okay, that's your money maker. Okay, mouthpiece right there. Okay, so that's what that's for. Okay. So who are these people? These are not necessarily a religion, necessarily like as an institution, but it's a way of lifestyle. These are lifestyles, by the way. These so-called religions are ways of living, and to me, this includes a variety of people, but I think the ones that probably take the pie on that one are the Machiavellians, right? Machiavellians, I believe, if I pronounce that right. Gamers. People who know about the game. Okay, that to me is what I would say is Pergamos. And as the name suggests, this is Greek. And in fact, I did some research, and I have reason to believe this, in fact, is the Zoroastrian religion. So there actually was a religion by name that was this sort of way of thinking, this philosophy about life. And it does insist on a lot of logic. And let's continue. We got Theta next up. This is the one that I thought of, that I may have been of. It says, these things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. So, I'm going to read that one more time. These things says the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. So that to me is why I've considered eyes like fire, and also bronze feet. Bronze feet to me is someone who walks. Like someone who walks a lot, and then has been a lot, traveled a lot, etc. And then eyes like fire, is I have the proclivity to be a young, angry young man, and that's perfectly fine, right? So carrying along, Theta, what do we got here? What is the group that describes this? Well, I want to read a little bit more descriptions here, but the giveaway for me is it's niggas. This to me, this is what I think it is. Okay, speaking as one, this is what I believe it is. They got big old feet and they got fiery eyes. Okay, and literally, what do we got? What's going on? There's a whole thing about this thing with Jezebel, you know, notwithstanding a few things against thee because thou suffered that woman Jezebel. Okay, basically thoughts and hoes. Okay, and so that's in essence like, yeah, that's the enchilada in a nutshell. Okay, so here we are. So that. Okay, we're gonna keep carrying on because we're not done yet. Next chapter, chapter 3. Now we're in chapter 3, and now we got Sardes. Okay, and Sardes says these things. Where is it? These things says he that has 7 spirits of God and 7 stars. So this time there's a re-mentioning of 7 stars, like in Ephesus, but they also are they also have the 7 spirits. Okay, so that's really important. 7 stars and 7 spirits. And so to me, when I thought about the 7 spirits, I'm like, they know themselves really well. Like they've mastered their true selves, right? You know, they know who they are, and they are essentially like really powerful beings, and they're able to be quote unquote, you know, magical, whatever. But the simple fact of the matter is that they know who they are, and most people don't. And I think the short answer is these people, if you want to take a wild guess as to who I think they are, they're elves. I think these people are elves, if such a thing were to exist. Okay, I believe they're elves. Okay, and there's more. There's all these extra pieces of information that really gave it away to me. There's another one. There's another paragraph that describes Sardes. Here's it is. Something about like you seem to be alive, but in fact you're actually dead. And so yeah, here it is. It says, "Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain." So they've been around, that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. That's another fact about that. Okay, so I know thy works, and that thou hast a name, and thou livest, and art dead. So you know, if you know any like center of the party, you know, I guess, and they're actually really dead inside, right? And maybe as a culture, maybe they're just gingers. You never know. You just never know. So I digress. So next up, we got Philadelphia. And we're going to circle back around, actually, because there's actually another piece of information that's really important. But for now, these are just my reasons to talk about the churches. Yeah, we're on a good track. Philadelphia. This is a pretty good giveaway. But it says, "And to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write this. These things says he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth no man openeth." Okay, and this to me is, these are the Jews, right? I'm just gonna write that. You know, I'm gonna write Jewish people. To me, it's smoother. Okay, so Jewish people, you know, Star of David. That's an obvious giveaway. Of David. Star of David. Okay, and then was there any other information? It's like the city of brotherhood. You know, they mentioned a lot of other information here, but I think I'm gonna leave it here, leave it at that, and we will circle back around for a little bit more information. Yeah, just some extra things that I frankly would rather say for another time. Finally, we got Laodicea, and what do we got here for Laodicea? And on to the angel of the church of Laodiceans write, "These things says the Amen, the faithful, the true witness, the beginnings of the creation of God." And I mean, if there's anyone who can who is willing to sit and patiently watch, like the grass grow, okay, and the sun rise and the moon set, it's got to be the Buddhist, right? Come on, it's got to be the Buddhist, okay? And it goes further. They describe things like you are neither hot nor cold. I mean, the lukewarm, that was like a big giveaway for me. So I'm thinking these are they were described as the true witness. Okay, excuse me. Yeah, they're basically the Amen, the ones who chant Amen. Okay, that's what they're known for. Okay, so those are the 7 churches that I have concluded. I reasonably believe are the churches of God. Some are not actual institutions per se, by like, you know, because I mean, cultures, you can just read a lot of like, either medieval or like science medieval lore stuff, and you'll find that there's reasons why, different groups don't talk as much. Okay, so. That said, let's circle back around to now the 7 spirits, and just try to figure out how this table, how does it relate to all these other things, right? Because I was gonna also talk about a formula, right? And so here is the formula, by the way. If you want to basically be saved, okay, this is what the requirements are. You need FS to function with respect to, it's got 7 variables, which include, I'll tell you now what they actually include, since you asked. Here are the variables for this equation, essentially. Gluttony. How am I going to do this? Oh, I got it. We're going to have to be really scientific here. All right. We're going to have to be GR. We're going to have to be, what is this? Bear with me here as I do some science. Okay. Metaphysical science, that is. Okay. So GR, okay, that's right. GL. Then we got SL. Or I just call it S. And I don't know why I'm putting the dashes there. We don't really need that. What's next? Theta, wrath. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're getting deeper. Okay. And then okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So that's a function. Okay. It's not. I'm just typing it out. So bear with me. All right. But basically the formula, since I'm just using variables, I'm not gonna actually write out the full out variables over here. But basically you want to have 7 chakras. You know what? I'm actually going to circle back around to that. You know what? Yeah, we're going to come back around. So if you really want to know, you're going to have to be extra patient on this one. And besides, I mean, I can only, I can only tell it to so many people who are ready to hear what I got to say, right? So anyways, next up we have, what is this? So I mentioned the churches / spirits. They got the same name. I want to talk about. I guess we do need to get to this formula. I may have to get to this formula right now. Because I was trying to figure out I was trying to like break apart these paragraphs, and I realized there's a few other components that are basically involved in describing each each group, right? Each group's description, right? I've already mentioned a little bit. But, to kind of speed it up, you've got like, let me see here. The first description was the actual, you got the name, which I've mentioned already, right here. These are the names. So you got the names. You've got the characteristics of the angels, or qualities of the angels, we'll say, just qualities of the angels, right? Then you've got a little more. Bear with me. This is going to be a very long video. I'm pretty sure it's going to be longer than I intended to be, but unfortunately, it's a lot of information. Or fortunately, however way you want to look at it. So we've got qualities of the angels is another important description. Then what else? What else was it? if you just read it, it's just the prayer itself, the prayer itself connects it all. So that was another interesting giveaway. And then I'm trying to see here what other information I have that is directly relevant. You're going to see that there's a lot of repetition of 7 in all of this, right? But I was just trying to focus on the actual Ephesus, excuse me, Ephesus. But basically, and just trying to make more sense of it. So I think we've just gotten a description of what the spirits, the churches, and what they're kind of known for, and what I believe each one was. And again, this was my opinion, right? But the next part is where things get interesting. I'm going to throw in here, we have to remember that the churches describe this. This is what the churches are describing. These are the 7 spirits that make up the human being. And each church simply happens to be like your calling card, your favorite one. And I have reason to believe that each and every one of us gets to pick which one we want to focus on the most. We can pick any one of them. They're all equal. And you got to pick one, and pick one that you want to focus in on the most in life. And there's a reward. Every single church, every single member of that church gets this reward. And so that was the real part. So I think I'm going to actually start with the gifts. All right. And the gifts are kind of the real insight to me that told me, okay, what's going on here? Right. And so let's circle back around. And I'm going to read through this paragraph quite a bit, because we're going to go through all the churches. But now at the end of the paragraph, it tells you, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the church. This is verse, by the way, 2:7. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So the reward is tree of life. Okay, that's the reward. What is that? We got to have gift interpretations, because we got to make some interpretations. But I think this to me, real life examples. This is Dr. What's his name? Dr. Manhattan. Okay, from Watchmen. You're right. That to me is gift interpretations / examples. You need examples. Always got to have examples when you're doing math. Okay, so please, examples. Gift interpretations, examples. Dr. Manhattan, Watchmen. That's the tree of life. He literally goes off to another planet, starts creating new life. That's the reward that you get if you master all 7 plus, emphasize 1, right? And that's what the equation was. I mean, the equation basically was 7 chakras plus 7 spirits. Plus 1 spirit, I believe. One primary spirit minus, here's the most important part, minus 7 deadly sins equals 1 gift from God. That's the formula. All right. So thank you so much for your patience there. But these variables, by the way, were just the 7 deadly sins. I'm not going to actually put the variables in there for the sake of space, but hopefully that's clear. And if it's not, I do apologize. I guess I can zoom in here. It's important that we focus on this. But this is in essence what I believe is the primary function. This, if you want to know what the meaning of life is, okay, the set of meanings of life, I believe that this is it right here. This is what you want to go for, at least for the next, for next, 25 years? No, excuse me, for the next 23 years, all right? Basically by, 2047, okay? Or maybe 2046, maybe. You never know, okay? But the goal is, somewhere around this time, halfway through the century, so, within our lifetime, this, if you want to know what the meaning of life is, if you're someone who's trying to better themselves in every way you can as a human being, this formula encompasses all of it. Okay, it has it all right there for you. Okay, so you want to master your 7 chakras. Figure out which is your primary spirit. I guess I may be wrong in that, by the way. In fact, you probably want to focus on all of them, right? We're just gonna put the 7 there. I just don't think you get more than 1 gift from God. I'm pretty sure you only get 1, but you may get 7 gifts from God if you're really good. But I doubt it. I think this is more realistic. 7 times 7 minus 7 equals 1. Okay, that's the formula that I'm going to stick to right now. Okay, 7 plus 7 minus 7 equals 1. Okay, so 7 primary spirits, right? You got to master all. I think you got to master all 7, and then you've got to get rid of the deadly sins, right? Because that's their counterpart. And I shout out to Dante Alighieri, because what he said was, evil is nothing more than the absence of God's love, essentially. So if you reject God's love, you have no choice but to engage in sin to fulfill your human being's basic needs, right? These are basic needs being fulfilled. It's energy. Energy demand is energy demand. So in a nutshell, that's how that works, right? So either way, your body, what did I say this FS is? I think this is your human being. Human being. This is the human being formula, more or less. And we are evolving, and it's going to evolve. I have reason to believe we're going to evolve, right? So there's that. But it's only going to happen with the grace of God, if for those who actually follow the formula. Okay, so master the 7 chakras, explore the spirit of each, and then, get rid of all 7 deadly sins, and you've got 1 gift from God. Okay, so what are the gifts? So we got the first one, Tree of Life. Okay, pretty cool, Tree of Life, right? There are more. Okay, what's next? We have now, let's look at the church's Smyrna, and we also have here, it says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. So, that sounds cool. Not hurt from second death. Not the first death. That to me is super interesting. Not hurt from second death. And so keep in mind that Smyrna is Hindu. And what is Hindu known for? Reincarnation. It says it here. It says, which was dead and is alive. The people who've been able to reincarnate are the Hindu, are the Smyrna, let's say. Could be wrong. I could be wrong. Okay. But, in a nutshell, they're not going to be hurt from the first, I guess all the people who are reaching out to God for help are going to be saved. And those, even though we're saved, we got to remember that there's going to be a war in heaven, and we're going to get into that. And so it's not exactly 100% safe, because you're going to be in heaven when the war happens. So guess what? There may be a second death that you may have to confront. And I'm not sure the exact nature of that, but apparently that's the gift that you get. And so to me, this to me is, what is this? This is like, I'm not sure. Cat has 9 lives. Guys, Cat had 9 lives. Okay? Cat had 9 lives. Nothing to worry about. Okay? Okay? So we're everything's good. All right? All right, Noble? All right. Next up, Pergamos. All right? Here it is. The things that says he unto thee. Let's look at the gift. Okay. To him that overcometh, I will give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that received it. Okay. So basically, I'm thinking This is the Philosopher's Stone. Has to be the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, and it's a white stone, and it has a name on it which no man knoweth, saving that he received. So keep in mind that we're all born with a name that's been given to us. That, by the way, if you want to go back, way back, you have your like true name, and then you have your name in human language, right? All right, and most of us, I think myself included, most of us do not know our true name. All we know is the name that we were given to us at birth. And I'm pretty sure what they're suggesting is that this stone, with new name, is your name. So, dude, I think Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter straight up, like literally did that. He literally got, whatchamacallit? He literally got, I think he saw his name on the stone. There was a little scene in the movie, right? So that's my example. Harry Potter, baby. Bloody hell. He literally, oh my gosh, I'm having technical difficulties. Hold on. I'm going to move this to this side. Okay. And bear with me here. We're gonna get into all this stuff. That's simply the Yellow King from True Detective. Okay, in case you're wondering what that is, because we're about to open up the whole can of worms, folks. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, this is the long haul. It's worth the trip. All right, because we're about to get to the bottom of some pretty good information. Again, for those who are ready to hear. All right, so. Anywho, we've got Harry Potter, straight up Philosopher's Stone. Need I say more? I don't think so. Now, I'm going to get here, and we're going to move this over here. Okay? And now, I want to focus on Theta Theta. Let's look at Theta Theta. This one was juicy. Okay? And now there's a lot of description. I'm not going to go into all the description for the sake of the video. I highly recommend that you do it as well, but there are some sweet nuggets in there for sure. But the one that stood out to me, speaking as someone who's really interested in Mesoamerican folklore, I would say it's this one. This quote. This is verse 3:24 now. And it says, "But unto you I say, and unto the rest in Theatida, as many as have not this doctrine, which have not knoweth the depths of Satan, as they speak, I will put onto you other burdens." I think I'm going to say this in just the English Standard Version. I think it may be easier to understand. But it says, "But to the rest of you in Thyatira, who do not hold this teaching, who have not learned what some call the deep things of Satan, to you I say, I do not lay on you any other burden." So, for those who had to hear that's been said, okay? That says it in the Bible. Okay, and they there's this whole thing about this Jezebel, prophetess, right? All these things going on. But then basically prostitution and STDs, straight up, as bad as it gets, as bad as you can imagine it. And then it says, I will give him the morning star. So that's the gift. Or excuse me, I thought it was more. Oh, no. I'm here. "The one who conquers and who keeps my works unto the end, to him I give authority over nations." I mean, I guess you get two things. You get the morning star and you get authority over the nations. I have reason to believe that this group, basically they get to be the rulers. That's the word. They get to be the rulers. And they rule with this iron rod. It keeps mentioning this iron rod, okay? They get to be rulers, all right? So that's a thing. Examples of Theta rulers. I mean, people with iron rods. I mean, I'm thinking like basically just like powerful lords of some kind, That's I'm thinking like that, powerful lords, I'll leave it at that. May not even just be lords. It may be lords. Keep in mind is like capital L lowercase ORD. It's not all four uppercase. So powerful lords, not lord. There we go. I think that's enough to clarify what I'm trying to get at. Powerful, important, but still not the Lord. Okay. Then let's get to Sardes, right? Next church up. All right. So now we're on chapter 3. Oh, so excuse me. I meant to say 224 before when I quoted talking about the mentioning of Satan there. But now, ignore that. Excuse me. Now it's 3:24. Or no 24. It's just 3. Chapter 3. All right. So let's look at side of these and look at what they actually get. There's also a space here, which is kind of a hint. Like there's some space here. There was like a gap in this paragraph, and so I don't know what that really suggests. But it seems to me it suggests that there's been a lot of space and perhaps a lot of time. Who knows? All right, but here we go. We've got something about ancient groups, right? It has to be people who have known about like astronomy and everything way before, right? And there's a lot of ancient groups, right? And you hear about it and you're like, wow, how do they know that? Okay. And so here we go. Side of these. What do they actually get? The one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments, and I will never blot his name out of the book of life. I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. And so I'm pretty sure, true name found. True name found. And what is it? Confessed? Your true name. Your true self. How about this? Your true self. Your true self found and confessed. Right there. Okay? Side of these. All right? Moving along. So to me, again, these are, I believe these are the sorcerers. Essentially. Right? If there's rulers, then there's sorcerers. Right? Similar classes, but not the same. Right? Moving along. We got Philadelphia. And now let's look at the reward. Keep in mind that this description of the Star of David, who opens and no one was shut, and who shuts and no one opens, by the way, I finally realized what that symbol is. It is, this is a reference to chastity. This is why if you're Jewish, you get your penis cut, right? So I guess, yeah, that happens. So, you don't want that. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake there. But, the reason why there's so much discipline on the chastity is, if there's any reason, that's the reason, right? And so let's look at the reward. That's relevant to the reward. Somehow it's relevant. I'm not exactly sure how, but it says, the one who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it, and I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, and the new Jerusalem. So this is, by the way, God speaking. This is Jesus speaking. And if you're a Christian, you will know that God is in Jesus. So why is he speaking like my God? And I think the answer is quite obvious metaphysically. But for Christian folk, for you, those of you out there, guys and gals, God has a God. Infinity has an infinity, and that can be mathematically proven. Okay, I highly recommend like Vsauce for that one. I may even put it in the video link if you want to understand how is it that the Almighty God can still have a God that they claim to be my God. Okay, so in my own new name, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So what exactly is the reward? I mean, I'm thinking, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. I will make him a pillar. So I'm going to just keep it literal. That may have been a mistranslation. I have no idea. Probably I'm wrong. Whatever I say, this is, by the way, all this could probably be freaking wrong. but something it's just not adding up here, and I'm not sure what it is, right? But pillar in the temple of God, it sounds kind of vague. Is it like they just get like a column? I think it's suggesting that they get to help build the foundation of God's temple. That's what it is. They actually get to help build that, and they get to build God's kingdom. They actually get to build the kingdom. That's actually what it is. I'm thinking / build God's kingdom. That's the role. Okay, I think that's what it is. And then evidence. Okay, Wolfenstein. There's my evidence. Wolfenstein the game. Namely, secret technology. We got technology. That's the key. You gotta look into the Wolfenstein secret technology if you really want to know what I'm getting at here. Okay, but yeah, that's essentially what that is. All right. So that's my analogy. Probably not the best for everyone, more generally, but it's a great game. It's basically a parallel universe where the Nazis win World War II and they just straight up take over, and they have like robot mechs. Let me just show you real quick what I'm getting at. Let me see, Wolfenstein secret technology. If you just do a quick Google search, I'll just do it for you. It's called That You Should. Okay, that's the technology. Okay, this armor. Oh yeah, this freaking armor. Need I say more? Need I say more? Does the man have straight up Aquaman armor? What is this? Why does he need bullets? Oh man. That can handle any environment. That suit can handle any environment, I'll tell you now. Whether underwater or like in space. I think it's designed for underwater. It looks kind of heavy. I reasonably believe that this is an underwater suit. Speaking as what I believe is an Aquarius. I am an Aquarius. Okay, so yeah, interesting. Speaking as an Aquarius, I reason to believe there's my evidence that this here is a water suit. Interesting. Cool. All right. Finally, we've got Laodicea, and let's wrap it up around here. As far as this segment of the video, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. In fact, I will make sure to do some editing, so that the video actually is pretty good. So let's check that out. Or maybe not. I just straight up just upload in one go. Fuck it, right? Okay. So where is? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, and to the angel of the church of Laodicea. Okay, and I think they put space between every single one, so I may have been wrong on that. Let me go back just to confirm, because I thought over here it was one. Okay, no, they have space between every one of these. So that suggests to me that every one of these may be super old. Like every one of these spirits has been around since day one, since the day that human beings have been created, obviously. Right? That's got to be at the very least about 6,000 years, right? Give or take. Plus or minus, come on. All right, so let's keep it moving. We're almost done here. Laodicea, and it says, what's the gift? I will grant him to sit with me on my throne, as I also conquered and sat down with my father on his throne. Join GG on the throne. Okay, dude, this is the Buddha, man. This is the Buddha 101. The Buddha did have, if you ever shout out to, shout out to Campbell, right? Joseph Campbell, because he wrote an incredible book, which I'm not even done reading, but it's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, right? The Hero with 1,000 Faces. It's a beautiful cover. It took me a minute to finally realize what's going on here. Okay, but notice, and if you actually zoom in on it, on the cover, you'll realize those are all human faces. So it's literally a hero with 1,000 faces. And basically, he talks about how the Buddha went through like this big battle, like big set piece battle in space and stuff. And it's like as intense as any Bible, like destruction event, right? And more intense than I think the flood event, frankly. And it's just really intense, and it's super described in detail. And guess what? We're going to get to that in a moment, so stay tuned. Okay. Allowed to sail. So they join the throne. These are the Buddha. That's in a nutshell. All right? Okay, and yeah, I do appreciate you very much for your patience and all this as I learn how to go with the flow. So the reward is, that's the reward. And I kind of already provided the evidence. But yeah, the evidence is, kind of self-explanatory, But basically it's, being the Buddha. Eternal happiness is what they call it. Eternal happiness. Right? They get to achieve eternal happiness. That's cool. So there's that. Those are the 7 churches we have described in a nutshell. I'm probably gonna have to zoom out here. Let's do this. We've basically, in a nutshell, we've basically in a nutshell described what the 7 churches, their names, what I think each one is, right? As far as modern world religions, Abraham religions, Hindu, Machiavellians, or game of powerers, niggas, elves, Jewish people, and Buddhist. That's my list. Okay. And then we've got what else? The gifts that they get if they follow this formula. To summarize, the human being formula, which is 7 chakras plus 7 primary spirits minus 7 deadly sins equals 1 gift from God. And you can either get the tree of life, which is the ultimate gift for any scientist. But before I actually even talk about all the gifts again, we got to talk about, the counter side of it, the greed. Let's talk about the greed. What is the greed? And I'll give you all a hint. I really recommend at this point that you pause the video and just take a look for yourself and actually try to figure out, for those of you who are a fan of the 7 deadly sins, what do you think the 7 deadly sins correspond to these chakras? And for that matter, I'm going to show you in a moment, how do you think it all maps onto these sets of 7 that we're seeing here? Okay. And so, that's the thing. Okay. So, I already gave you the first hint. But Ephesus is the greed. Okay. Yeah. 7 deadly sins. Okay. So, we've got greed, right? Okay. We've got greed as Ephesus. And if you're gonna be like Dr. Manhattan, we're not just talking about greedy with money. We're talking about greedy with creating life itself. Okay? As the engineer, you're get to be creating life, and folks, for any of you who've been looking at the trends in biological technology, many other fields of science also evolving, don't be surprised if Dr. Manhattan shows up and he can create any animal he wants. So it's very important that, for those who continue to practice this ancient practice, it's one of the oldest practices known to man, you got to make sure that you know that you don't get greedy, okay? That's what you want to avoid, okay? Don't get greedy, okay? So you've been told. Now you've been told, okay? So, but we're not done, okay? This doesn't just apply to the Watchmen, okay? There's more. There's more to come, okay? So here we go. Next up is Smyrna. What do you think is Smyrna, okay? And I'm going to pull up the diagram. I'll give you, I recommend pausing, but come back, but at this point, if you think about this, the hint is this diagram. The diagram is the hint. So what I'm going to do, is I'm actually going to, this is the hint, okay? what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move this information from this tab to that tab. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that very consistently. Okay, so we have, boom, crown and God. We have, I'm just going to use the first word. Okay, we have crown. Oh man, are we already running out of space? Oh my goodness. We are already running out of space. What the heck? Why? What happened? There's just not enough space. All right. Oh boy. Oh, okay. Everything is getting messy. All right. Hold on. Okay. One moment. Technical difficulties once again. I think it's this here. What if I do this? Okay, there you go. As long as those words fit. We have too many words over here. I don't mind the vertical space, but I do mind some of this horizontal space so that I can actually write out the words. I think the words are so short that it shouldn't be an issue. Here we go. Throat. Solar plexus. Ooh, that's not a short word. Then we've got the sacral. And then we got the roots. Yes. Yeah, did I get that right? Oh, okay. So I'm thinking, what? I definitely I skipped one, didn't I? I seem to have skipped a few. I think I skipped a few. Okay, excuse me here. I'm getting it together here. One moment. Okay. Right here, boom, there. We got the heart. Let's not forget that. And we've got the throat. We have that one there. And then, we already got the bro. We got the bro. We're good. Okay, but that's like eyebrow, right? Right, that's eyebrow, right? Right? So we've got crown, brow, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. And all of these actually pertain to 7 deadly sins. This is why it's so hard to be a human being, folks. This is why, and you're about to find out why. Okay? So first, greed. That's at the top. Okay? Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. What do you think root is? What do you think is the biggest fundamental driver? What do you think is the most dominant of the 7 deadly sins? Thank you. Okay? It's pride. Okay? And by the way, pride is not the same as ego. I'm talking about, here's an example. Could be a pride of lions. Could be a pride of any other animal you can think of. But the point is that it is a group. Okay? That is what pride is. Okay? So know that. Okay? Familiar pride. Now we got Philadelphia. What's next? What do you think is the sacral sex? I mean, the sac. What do you think is this in there? Pretty obvious. It's lust. Now the solar plexus. When you don't feel like you have any power in life, you feel like you're powerless. What are you lacking? What would Don Juan say? First of all, he'd probably call you a shadow. Okay, that's the first thing. You probably are a shadow. Okay. But no disrespect. But or you probably have a little bit of light and a little bit of shadow. A little bit of both, right? But the question is, well, what do you do about it? And the short answer is you find personal power. That's what you do. You find personal power. You find the thing that gives you strength in this world. And you will know it because, you were doing it when you were a kid. Very naturally, many kids, who had the opportunity found a way to get personal power in life. And it was like safe space, if you will, So that's the idea. Very important. Finding personal power. Okay. So when you don't have that, though, when you lack power, what are you the most very susceptible to? It's envy, getting jealous of other people. And why are you jealous of them? Because they have more power than you do. There's something about them. There's just something about them. And it's because they know themselves. They know their true selves while you don't. And that's why you're envious. And that's just how it goes. Okay. So that's why don't compare yourself to someone else. Right. But anyways, I digress. I don't have to explain myself A million times, right? Moving along. Lords, not Lord. Their Achilles heel apparently is the heart. And when you look at the 7 deadly sins, when a heart is hurt, what does a heart do? It's wrath. Okay? You do not want to have a wrathful leader. You don't want to have an angry leader. It's a bad look. Wrath, okay? That is a hurt heart. Okay? That wraps up that story in a bundle. Okay? More or less. Could be wrong. Harry Potter. Somehow he was a very good communicator, apparently, right? That was his forte. But in the 7 deadly sins, right? Which one is this? Which one do you think it is? I'm actually trying to remember myself right now, and I could look at my notes, but it'd be good exercise to actually figure this out right here now. But which ones are we missing? We're missing sloth, and we're missing. There's one more, sloth, and I'm not sure which one it is. But I'm thinking that it's got to be a relatively easy one. And so, what do you think? Please let me know. What do you think? It could be sloth, or it could also be gluttony. Those are the two. What do you think it is, though? To be a philosopher, to be someone, a critical thinker, right? Because the Greeks are the most critical thinkers that we know of, right? As I introduced in the beginning, if there's any sort of pathos that I can show at the moment, it's to humbly remind you that, we are speaking of, I guess it's the quality to evoke pity and sadness. Okay, well, that's not what I was trying to show. Maybe it's logos. I think it's logos, right? Ethos, pathos, logos. Pathos appeals to emotions. Logos appeals to audience reason. Ethos appeals to the speaker's status and authority. But if you can figure it out, I think you've figured it out right now, but it's sloth. It's being lazy. Okay? You can't be lazy. Don't be lazy, right? Work hard. Work hard. Harder you work, the luckier you get, right? That's the formula to apparently success in life, right? Beat the odds, right? Got to beat the odds, right? So there you go. And then finally, the one that I think I'm learning right now is wisdom. And what is wisdom? What is bad wisdom? It's gluttony, because you are what you think, right? So be the gatekeeper of your mind. And if you eat junk food, or if you absorb junk food thoughts, right? Quite literally, if you have thoughts on thoughts, guess what? It's not gonna help you in the long term, right? So that's what we have so far, folks. Okay, so this is the human body, the human being, rather. Okay, so I have 5 rows right now, 5 columns, excuse me, 5 columns, and we're not done yet. I gotta change the margins. I gotta make it bigger, because we're running out of space, supposedly, at least according to my page here. I need more margins. So I'll just try 0.2, see how it goes. It may not be enough, though. Okay, it's a little better. I probably need more space than that, though. Okay, something like that. Okay, we're getting there. Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. So there's more. Now I can look at my notes here. So we talked about the sins, we talked about spirits, talked about the chakras. I mean, those were the main. So I have 5. I have 5 columns right now in my formula. Okay. So by the way, it is 7 gives. 7 gives. It is 7 interpretations. And there's the 7 deadly sins. And then there is the actual chakras. Right? 7 chakras. Okay. And so I think we're missing at least probably about 2 more, right? We did 5, 6, 7. Yeah, right. At least try to create a matrix, right? So let's see here. Let's see what my notes say. Well, I think it's time that we actually start getting into the events that take place in Revelations. And yeah, this is the hard part, a little bit harder part, you know. But yeah, there's two things that I can talk about, and I think we can finish the formula here. Um, let's see. I have seven. So we got seven chakras, but there's also one more set of seven to talk about. The next one up is really important. But yeah, here we go. It's gonna be the seven seals. Seven seals that are opened. Okay, and again, you got to read the story, but basically, John is in heaven at this point. Let's just do some concept arts. John and Revelations. I just want to see if there's a good scene, a description. Yeah, dude, this is probably more close to it. Okay, this is John right now, tripping balls in some Greek island. Okay, and he's witnessing all this right now. This picture doesn't, I don't think, give a tribute. You have to read up on the angels for sure. The angels have like a fuck ton of eyes, and these do not describe the angels in depth. How about four angels of God? Okay. We're getting closer. Okay, we're getting closer to what I imagine it might look like. Okay, something like this. If you watch Hellboy, the movie, it could be something like that. Yeah, you're right. You got these beasts. Oh man, you got, this one's pretty intense. That one's kind of cool. Four angels. They actually have the name. They have a tetramorph. This is the tetramorph. It's actually four angels combined in one, I think, or maybe it's four separate angels. But basically, four angels. This is relevant, so I guess I should keep writing notes and whatnot. But we've got four angels that surround God, right? And when in heaven, right? This is like later on in heaven, right? Meanwhile, in heaven, okay, this is what's going on in heaven. And bear with me because we're gonna have to keep pushing through. This is too important for me to stop. Okay, so in heaven, what do we got? You've got a few things. You've got God in the center. He is Zeus. You've got four angels of beast of prey. These include one that is a the order of this does matter, but I believe it's lion, the ox, eagle, and face of man. Face of man. Okay. And four angels of beast of prey, lion, ox, eagle, face of man, with many eyes. Okay. Tetramorph with lots of eyes. Okay, it has a lot of eyes. This is more, we're getting there. Okay, here we go. There's a very small photo, but it's got a lot of eyes. Okay, it's a freaky thing. Okay, and you can check out some of my other videos if you want to get any guidance or any pointers on how to experience something like that. I don't recommend it at all. This is not any kind of advice of any kind. Please be safe. Please take care of yourselves. Okay, for goodness sakes. But do understand that, this is, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Okay, right? Or sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I usually gotta confirm, but most of the time, I'm good. All right, so, with many eyes. Okay, so let's carry along and let's try to figure this thing out. Okay. So you got that going on. You've got 24 holy people that are around God, and they're worshiping God. You've got the lamb. Okay, you've got the lamb, right? And the lamb it has lamb with 7 eyes and 7 spirits. Okay. A lamb with 7 eyes and 7 spirits. Okay. So that is this is Jesus, by the way. This is like Jesus's, like, I think this is like Jesus's this is his Nagwao. This is Jesus's Nagwao. This is his spirit. Okay, because keep in mind there's also the boy that's hanging out with John up there. Okay, and so it's like, how can he be in 2 places at once? Well, that's why. And then boy Jesus with tone, with tone, right? So you got 2. Okay. Yeah. No, excuse me. I think it's boy Jesus, like that. That's probably more accurate, right? Boy Jesus with tone. Okay, and then you got Jesus' Nagwa. Okay. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Any other things that are going on in heaven that are relevant to describe, speaking off the dome here, okay? I think those are all the main details, but these are important. It's just interesting, just figuring out how many people are there. 24 plus the Lamb plus the 4 angels plus God. I didn't count God. I presume there's 0, but the 4 angels. You've got the 7 spirits, so that's 11. Okay. Then you've got 7 spirits plus the 4 angels equals 11. So, I can do this math here. We're gonna just do some math, right? 7 spirits plus, it's probably 4 angels plus 4 angels of beast of prey plus 7 spirits equals 11 beings, I guess. Or I guess equals 11 spirits total, right? And then we also have boy Jesus, right? And then he's what, 12? But then you also have I guess Jesus is Nagwao. Again, my math might be wrong here. I think then you also got Jesus is Nagwao, right? And then you have what else do you got? There's also God. I mean, God is 0, right? The 0 point energy and all that, right? So that's God, 0%, if I want to be precise. Okay, and then what else? Who else? Then there's also the 24, plus the 24 holy people. What does that add up to? That adds up to 37. So, plus 24, that equals 37 beings. I don't know if you want to call them beings, right, necessarily. I don't know if the angels count as beings. But to me, that's what it is. Plus John, that would be like 38, right? So I don't know what these numbers mean. It may be useful for someone who can make sense of that. I don't know. But that's what I got right now for you. But we'll carry on, and this is all, of course, a speculation, by the way. But if we can keep this theory going, then yeah, if you can prove it wrong, by all means. That's what science is meant to be, and I guess you can apply those scientific ideas to any field of study that you want. So carrying on. What else do we got here? So that's going on in heaven, and then I think the next thing I want to talk about, I think, is the 7 seals that open up. Okay, these are the events that actually begin to happen, and I guess this will be now the next segment into this video, where we can now get into the 7 seals that are open. So what is the first seal? What is the first seal here that actually opens up? And we actually this is probably a good time to actually go back into the Bible and actually keep reading and try to figure out, it's a good question why they call it the Bible. It's like a very specific name. But we're going to go back into this, and we're going to actually read up. So that was chapter 3. Chapter 3 described the last church of Philadelphia in a nutshell, and also Laodicea. Yeah, if I'm pronouncing that right. And then we got chapter 4, Laodicea, right? Is it Laodicea or is it Laod? Excuse me here. Laodicea. Yeah, my mistake. I got it. Laodicea. Okay. All right. So, now we're in chapter 4. So we're moving from chapter 3 to now chapter 4. And actually now, I think I now know how to break up the parts of this video. We're just breaking up into chapters. So chapter 4. Chapter 4 starts with this portal into heaven. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we are going to basically, I essentially already described what this was. So we're going to move on. So chapter 4 describes actually being in heaven. Chapter 5 describes... Chapter 5, what does chapter 5 describe? I think chapter 5 shows you the Alleluia. It shows you where everybody's worshiping God. That's chapter 5. This further describes the environment. But it describes everyone but human beings who believe. Only John is there right now, right? But I think it describes the Alleluia, essentially, if I had to describe it in words. If I had to put it in words. Chapter 6. We're now on chapter 6, okay? And that would actually make sense, as far as where we're at in this journey here. Yeah, and if you made it this far, you are a real one. You're well on your way. And if you don't feel like that, don't worry about it. Your feelings aren't real anyways, according to Jesse Lee Peterson. So, Godspeed. So let's see here. Chapter 6. We're now in chapter 6. And this is where things start to get funky. Okay. So opens the first seal. What happens with the first seal? These are the first 4 seals are the 7 horsemen. Okay. So horseman 1 is the conqueror. Okay. Horse 2 is what? Horse 2 is was war. Right? Horse 2 is war. Horse 3 is what is horse 3? Third seal. A quart of wheat and for denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. This is corruption, both in money, food, oil, wine. Doesn't matter. It's entropy, corruption. We can call it entropy. I think some kind of entropy, maybe chaos. Let's call it just chaos. It's like chaos, corruption, noise, whatever. Then we've got horse 4, and this is death. 4 is death, and I believe is actually might be ego death. I think 4 is ego death. For those who are wondering, I have reason to believe it's ego death. That's part of my hypothesis here, right? This whole spiel is a part of that, right? Okay. So those are the first 4, and that's basically what's described in chapter 6, and I think we're done with chapter 6. Okay, but no, I gotta describe what actually happens. So basically, if you want to know signs of if you want to see any signs right now, these are the things that you want to look out for, right? Number 1, you want to look out for the one of the 4 horsemen. Look out for one of four horsemen. Okay, and I'm pretty sure it's been happening all throughout history. So I'm not sure how it really pans out. Maybe they just intensify, right? But these next 20 years, right, 20, 24 years, is not necessarily going to be just a cakewalk for all of us. And I think we all kind of feel that. Like, it's going to be a high tide time for humanity. And if you read Revelations, you only realize that the intensity only gets more intense. If you think this thing is slowing down, I highly recommend that you listen to Terence McKenna's research or his hypothesis on this novelty and these chaotic attractors. And I will put a link down below as well for that video. It's a great source, but were it not for his suggestions, I don't think I would be able to have pioneered or coined this whole thing. So that's another shout out to another metaphysicist that I've been able to learn more or less why I'm so convinced with when you look at the rate of acceleration, right? If you look at the rate of acceleration that's happening right now with just technology, right? If we can see some sort of graph, I mean, dude, it's just, okay? So it is just spiked up, and look at the years, okay? This is 2015, 2016. Now we're in 2021, okay? It's stagnated for a little bit, but it's going to keep going up. So it is like hyper acceleration, okay? So that's something to be aware of when in all of this, okay? And I'm not saying like, batten down the hatches yet, but like you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, taking care of not just yourself, but taking care of your whole human being. Okay, you want to be able to master that, all the different levels. Again, there's the formula at the top. I can say it again. I will say it again. Human being equals 7 chakras plus 7 primary spirits minus 7 deadly sins equals 1 gift for God. This is the set of meanings of life for the next 23 years by 2046. If you have any homework assignment that you have to do that's more important than anything else, this is it. This is what you got to do. If you don't know what the meaning of life is, now you know. All right. And I have to mathematically proof that towards the end of this. So we are not done. Okay. So, start of these, right? That's where we're at. Going back to the Bible here. So we're on, right now, keep in mind that right now we're on chapter 6. Signs to look out for is the 4 horsemen. What's the next thing that happens, though? Okay, these are basically, first 4 seals are broken, right? The first 4 seals are broken. Then the second seal. This is like God's like secret formula to the universe, right? Then second, second seal, right? Or second, what's the next process that happens? What is the 5th seal? Here it is. The 5th seal. I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain. By the way, this is, I believe, we're now in chapter 6. So this is chapter 69. Okay, this is verse 69. Very important verse. When he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the witness they had borne. Here's 10. They cried out with a loud voice, O sovereign Lord, holy and true, how long before you will judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? So these essentially are the martyrs, okay? When he opened the 5th seal, then they were given each a white robe, okay? So martyrs are saved, martyrs / God believers. Yes, this is to you atheists. I know some of you, are metaphysicists, and you guys are probably some of the best. But guess what? You need God. You need Jesus. You need some Jesus. Okay? Apparently, So, so yeah. You need some Jesus. Okay. So, then, by the way, he was an impeccable warrior, if that is of any reference. Probably the best one I know. Okay. So, we have martyrs are saved. God's. I think God. Atheists. You know. What do you think? Okay. We're carrying along here. Okay. Next up. So that's the sixth seal. Then we have that was the fifth seal. Now the sixth seal is this. Now sixth seal, by the way. Okay. This is hell let loose. Okay. This is where shit gets wild. And this is now. I'm now going to make the segment into what I believe to be the actual apocalypse that's going to happen for humanity. Okay, so with that aside, apocalypse is a fancy word that people love to throw around. Don't worry about that. I believe, though, that we've known this all along, and I want to turn to one particular character, Looney Tune character. Who is this fucking guy? Who is this guy, folks? Who is he? What's his name? What's his deal? Why is he being so aggressive? Okay, and this is for anyone who's watched Space Jam. Okay, who is Marvin the Martian? Who is Marvin the Martian? And why does he have such a black head? And why he is the spaceship, but he's also the face? What's going on? Why is he such a quirky character? Okay, we can go to Google Images, and figure out who this dude is. Where is he from? Okay, what's going on here? Okay, but we know where he's from. Can anyone tell me where he's from? Right, he's from, yes, Planet X. Now, what does X represent in? What does X represent in Roman numerals? It's X. Basically, X equals 10. Okay. Right, and this suggests, this 10 is the 10th planet. Okay, that's what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that there is a 10th planet out there. Okay, this planet is called Planet X. Now, what is this thing? This thing is an object that is black, spherical in nature, that is coming towards us, that is being hostile. So, let's describe descriptions of Planet X, right? What are they? Hostile, spherical, black, spaceship, hostile, spherical, black, spaceship. What else? There is something else about it that is very important. I think if you understand anything, any current research that's going on, poor Pluto, man. Okay? Which was a dwarf, by the way. Okay? Pluto, I believe, was a planet, maybe. Who knows? But, it's not the only dwarf out there. And the dwarf planets are actually, there's an interference of gravity that's going on there, right? There is some kind of dark matter, perhaps, that is floating around out there that we don't know, okay? So when you put all this together, okay, you put all this together, and you basically get, right? Must I say it? What do you get? What is that one thing you want to be very concerned about? Extremely concerned about, especially if you made it this far in this story. Something that you have to be the most careful about, because it may be the hardest thing ever. Okay, what could it be? Let's see, NASA's greatest photographs. Let me see here. see if I find any good photos today. Well, I think we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Okay. I think y'all more or less have a sense as to what I think it could be at this point. I'm not even gonna say it. If you know, I wish you the best of luck. But you know, man, there's just some incredible objects. You know, shout out, man. You know, there are just some incredible, like, just like, whoa. Take it easy. Okay? Take it easy. Okay? So, there we go, folks. I hope that is insightful thus far. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, people. Okay? Or I don't know. Persons, people, I'm not sure. But okay, I think I'll say it. I'm not trying to. I believe that it's a black hole. Okay, I believe that it is a black hole. Okay, and that's why we can't detect it. That's why it's so mysterious. That's why we've been warned by this already. I believe that we've already been hinted at this already. As far as like trajectories are concerned, ellipses are concerned, ellipses are concerned, right? And man, like, if this is what's happening, then what the F? What the fucking F? What the fucking F? This is wild, okay? So it makes perfect sense, but we're not done. But wait, we're not done yet, okay? So I'm going to read this whole entire thing. This is, right now we are in chapter 6. And I guess I'm reading from 6:12 to 6:16, 6:17. And it says, "When he opened the sixth seal, I looked, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. The sun became black as sackcloth, and the full moon became like blood. And the stars of the sky fell to the earth as the fig trees shed its winter fruit by gale." I'm just going to quote all that because we need to translate that. "The sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place." Interesting. "Then the king of the earth, and the great ones, and the generals, and the rich, and the powerful, and everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves among the rocks of the mountains." I love this. Calling to the mountains and rocks, I loves this more accurately, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who is seated on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand?" Okay? That's pretty fucking foul, the whole fucking story. Okay? So, what do we got here? Okay? We got a bunch of things, man. We got a bunch of things. But I'm just going to unpack each and every phrase one at a time, okay? And just try to explain to you each, line by line what I think is going on. So when he opens the sixth seal, I look, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. Presuming this black hole, I mean, we can probably find, wow. Okay. Right. Here we go. This is YouTube. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's the black hole. Yeah, there's the freaking quasar, right? Where's the sun? I mean, there was no sun. This was the whole thing. The sun is getting eaten by the black hole. So I guess that's not exactly how I imagined it, but oh, this might be good. Let's see. Okay, so that's the sun. That must be the black hole. It's really tiny compared to the sun.
A blue supergiant star HDE 226868 and an invisible companion with a mass
But the density is
14.8 times
ridiculous,
that of
right?
the Sun.
Infinite density.
The
Oh, wait.
supergiant star
Was
is
that
about
it?
20 times
No,
as
wait,
massive as the Sun and 300
So we just
the
fell
class of
into
black
the black
holes
hole.
that
Oh
comes
my
from the
God.
collapse of a
Oh, okay,
massive
there you go.
companion is a so-called stellar mass black hole, a
Dude.
class of black holes
Okay.
that comes from the collapse of a
Wow.
massive star.
That's intense. Oh,
As
here
the
we go.
two stars orbit each other once every
is probably
5.6
more like it.
days,
That's a
the
flying
black hole's
saucer, isn't it?
gravitational pull causes the
It's a
blue
flying saucer.
supergiant to bulge toward it. It is
Okay, that
almost
animation
15
kinda
times the
blurry.
mass of the Sun.
Here's another one. It's kind of like gas. It's just like
This
absorbing
material
gas.
forms a disk
I think it
that
literally is
astronomers
just
have
gas.
possible.
Just gas and space plasma, radiation, you know. So yeah, this is like intense, okay, folks. So prepare yourselves. If you made it this far, you're also like now buckled up on the ride, and once you're on the ride, once you shit bricks, what can you do? What can you do? Right? So that's what I think is happening here. Basically 12 is the number to represent, doomsday. I think the Mayans were off by, let's do the math. Well, I haven't told you when I think these events are going to take place, right? How did I know exactly, more or less, the years? I mean, this was my guess, and I forget. I had a reason for that. Oh, I think I got it. I mean, it's 2048, and I think I think it's going to be from 2048 to 2052. There's this whole thing that happens where basically humanity goes to college. I think humanity goes off to heaven, and heaven is like this space college, and it's like, yeah, 4 years though can be a long time in like technology years, right? In technology years, that's the key thing. Technology years. Keep in mind that heaven, is infinite. Okay. All right. So those are some details that I more or less comprehend. But 2048 to 2052. Okay. And they were off by 40 years. So the main number though to focus on, is 2048. Okay. And then they were off. No, I'm sorry. It's 52 years. That's the number you want to focus on. And they were off by, I guess that's when it all ends. That's when it all really ends. Okay. And so they were off by 12. So if you do 2052 minus 12, you end up with 20. Well, excuse me. Oh, no. They predicted 2012. You end up with 40. There you go. There's your number. 40 years. Very important number when you think about, who do you think about, right? You think about JC, man. Come on. So, let's keep this story going. That's John Carter. Guys. John Carter. Okay. So, John Carter. Okay. All right. Moving along. What about 13? What does 13 say? And it says, "And the stars of the sky fell to the earth as the fig trees shed its winter fruit and were shaken by a gale." And then it also said in 6:14, it said, "The sky vanished like a scroll." Well, what happens with light pollution? This affects like animals, affects cities all the time, right? What happens with light pollution? What do you get? You get roadkill. Animals get confused on roads. It leads to roadkill. Okay. So, the stars are gone. The stars are now gone. Okay. And, if you think the animals are going to freak out, now they're going to be freaking out much more at this time when there's no more stars. Something to consider, for any practical thinkers out there. You got to understand that, we humans are not the only creatures on this planet. Okay, and this idea that we are the only creatures is simply not true. There's a lot going on. So starting with the trees, right? Birds and the bees, right? You got anything else, mycelium, the list goes on. Okay. So that's pretty much what I wanted to get at, as far as yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what, yeah. So by the way, yeah, you know, you know, this feels very relevant, to share, and I'll go ahead and do it. But here you go. So, and okay, so that's relevant because we're gonna continue on. I don't think I have to talk too much more, but I wanted to get into all of this. I've been spending so many hours doing all this throughout the whole day, but I think I've more or less covered all the main points. There's some incredible quotes that I would love to quote. For example, 12:12, that says, "Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath. Oh, wait, and because he knows that his time is short." Okay. I could sit here and just be giving you quotes, right? And give you quotes and quotes and quotes and quotes, but that's not as fun. That would literally be Bible thumping, quite literally. And we don't have to do all of that. I think the most important thing that I wanted to show y'all is I wanted to wrap up this equation. So you know what I should do? We're gonna keep going, but I want to. We're not done with the seals. We got 3 more seals to go. Okay, 3 more seals to go, and I understand why I'm now beginning to resist. I do have a little, I do have a little bit of I got some tea here, so that's keeping me going. Okay, so I'm gonna probably need another sip, actually. All right, I think we can keep going. Okay. So let's keep it going, because this is where things get really hot and heavy. Okay. If you thought it wasn't, it's gonna get real hot and heavy. Okay. And now we're turning up the heat. Okay. So here we go. Here it says 6:17, for the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand? Okay. So now we're finally in chapter 7. Okay. And so here we go. I could read the whole thing with you, but I probably don't have to. But let's just focus on the events. That's the easiest thing to focus on, right? Not get lost in the sauce, right? Let's just focus on the events. That's the key. Okay, that's really the key of it all. Is focusing on the events. So knowing what happens and knowing like how they relate to one another, with at least with respect to time, right? After I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 wings of the earth. So presumably these 4 angels are the same beasts of prey that are now more or less holding some kind of portal open to the earth. I also forgot to mention that the place, they mentioned that the moon turns blood. Okay, and guess what? If you look at a lunar eclipse, what do you see? If you look at the lunar eclipse, what do you see? The moon turns red. Okay, because why? The Earth is blocking out the moon. This diagram is basically the diagram that that I think is going to be more or less. This is like my model of what I think is going to happen. My simplified astronomy model, right? That I think is going to happen in basically in our lifetime by mid-century of this year of this century rather. Okay, so let's see if I can remember how to use this thing. Okay, and we're trying to draw this here. It may not be drawing the scale. Okay, there you go. That's more or less. Yeah, there you go. That's actually going to be more or less, I think, what's going to be happening here. Okay, and there are obviously more intense, way more intense artistic interpretations of how the environment would look like, right? But this is effectively hell, right? This is definitely like hell, like oh hell. Okay, so it's wild. Okay, it's pretty wild. But wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. Frankly, given what I've seen, it's not the oddest phenomenon. But unfortunately, this energy fluctuation doesn't happen in a vacuum. It in fact is way more intense than that. Okay, much more intense than that. Because as you will know, things start getting hot. Okay, and so I actually, yeah. Let me see here. So this is probably a good transition. Let's see here. Good transition. Okay, so now we can talk about the trumpets. Although I still haven't mentioned the last three seals. Okay, my mistake. Let's get back to where we were in this sort of model. So, solar plexus. Okay, what was the fifth seal? Okay, the solar plexus is saving the martyrs, saving those with personal power, I guess. Straight up, you gotta take care of yourselves, folks. This is a big key. This is really important. And so I think this is essentially that's one interpretation. Okay, there may be more, right? But having personal power is important. Okay, so there's that. Then we've got Philadelphia, right? What's going on here? What's the next seal? This was the sixth seal, right? And what exactly happened with the sixth seal, right? You might be asking. This was when, I believe, oh man, I think I may have gotten things mixed up here. I got something mixed up. So I did one little minor mistake. So the horse actually doesn't happen yet. The death doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen there. That doesn't happen. Let's actually look at the text to be sure. Especially if you don't believe me, which is understandable. So here's the third seal. It says the fourth seal. And behold, a pale horse. Okay, no, that was right. That was right. Okay. What about the fifth seal? Okay, says they cried out, and then, okay. So then we just jump to the sixth seal. Okay, sixth seal. This is when hell is unleashed. I've already mentioned, yeah, we already read all this. Oh my gosh, we've literally already read all of this. Okay, right. Seventh seal. Okay, so after I saw this, the four angels, man, this whole event where the martyrs are being saved, okay, this is five, okay, this is five, okay, that's what's going on here, okay, there it is. I think it needs to be bolded, okay. Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, "Who are these clothed in robes?" So they all, pretty much everybody gets saved, or the ones who believe in God, right? So you're saved, you get to go off, you go to heaven, and you're good, right? You think you're safe, okay? That happens. Therefore, they are before the throne and serve him day and night. They shall hunger no more, and neither thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to the springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Okay, so now we can move on to chapter 8. Let's get on to chapter 8. Chapter 8 is going to be, what is chapter 8? This is the seventh seal. So this sixth seal was Hell Unleashed, basically, right? Hell Unleashed slash cosmic events. It's a cosmic event. Cosmic event, you know. Term for, what is it? Term for star, or term for black hole eating star. Let's see here. Tidal disruption event. So this will be a tidal elliptical eclipse. Tidal eclipsical disruption. Okay. So you got that. All right. So that's that. Then now we're on to the seventh seal. Okay, here we go. So this is where things get pretty rough. I forgot to mention that a freaking what is it? A bunch of locusts in the fifth seal come out. Oh yeah. By the way, if you don't have personal power, it's either that or locusts. So you can pick one, whichever one you want. So there you go. Locusts come out. I can show you how the locusts look like. They're not fun, but I can tell you where they're gonna come from. And you better be prepared, sir. Just saying. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Right, these guys. Right, these freaking idiots. Okay. Oh no, they go in to clean up the mess. Oh, they go in to clean up the mess. Never mind. They go in and clean up the mess. They're not actually the ones who open up the damn thing. Okay. All right. Anyways. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. It absolutely matters. Everything matters. Everything is everything. Okay. So, as we move along, bunch of freaking things happen. It's just a bunch of stuff. There's dragons involved. There's freaking dragons. Okay. There's dragons. Can we get a shout out to Mordor? Okay. This place, by the way, is real. Okay. Apparently it's real. Okay. And I think pretty self-explanatory what it is. Yeah. Okay. And this place will somehow show itself up nearby. Here's a map. So, this is Lord of the Rings lore. It's very interesting, actually. But yeah, I believe also, I also want to have a reason to believe that this here tower is actually the Tower of Babel rebuilt in hell. Why not? Right? I mean, that was a big fucking deal, right? So, yeah, that may be a thing too. As we carry on, so you got all this stuff starts happening. I have reason to believe that, is there any this thing this is gonna go down, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? I mean, I think we all kind of know that, at least anybody with a power suit, whatever technology, Iron Man got here, okay? So that's gonna happen, right? That's happening. And then, but that's not exactly what I meant. These might be more like titans. With a freak ton of power, man. Infinity Stones. Dude, I just remember watching Marvel, and this was one of the coolest scenes. And apparently there's a whole lore about these, like, super armored suits and everything. Oh my gosh. It's really freaking badass. It's really freaking badass. Okay? But, my goodness. Is this a baby Thanos? What's going on here? Oh, man. Baby Thanos. They have a 2023, apparently. So yeah, holy macaroni, we are moving along here smoothly. So far so good, right? So far so good. But yeah, come on. I mean, look at all this broken technology. So yeah, there's Titans, Greek mythology, all that shebang. Okay, apparently it all either, dude, the Greeks may have actually been. They may not have actually. It may not have happened in the past in the same way. Well, anyways, you also have here too. Um, this big army, right? Army of orcs, apparently. Big space army. Okay, and I believe this is the Mordor army. This is the Mordor army that's gonna come through these portals somehow, some way, somehow. It reminds me of a game. What what resembling mission do we got here? So, thank you so much for. I'm gonna say a big shout out here. Just shout out to all the lore people out here. But if there's any big shout out I would want to give out right now, I'm gonna say shout out to Hidden Experience Man, because he really. I thought I knew Halo lore. Like, I really thought I had it all figured out, or at least most of it. I was a little fuzzy on the Forerunner details, right? But I'll tell you, man, the fact that, you're able to actually unpack what's happening in the modern world. If you ever watch this video, I don't even know if you ever will, right? But, it's one of those things where it's like, you're describing, so much. Okay, so, Godspeed, sir. We got Arc here. I mean, Forge World, all this stuff going on, right? Freaking Halo Arc technology is no joke. And this is the Arc. And I believe actually this vessel does show up even in the story, even though human beings are in heaven. There's this whole thing. Okay, so, I won't go into all the details because there's many. There's thunderstorms. It's just a big fucking trip. Okay, that's all I can tell you. It's a big fucking trip. Okay, and so that's that. There are dragons, if I haven't said that already. Okay, and okay. There's a bunch of extra stuff here, bunch of extra information. All this shit goes down. And it's I think, okay, and then I will carry on from here on out, I guess. I have data, like just numbers. You just got to play around with the numbers pretty much. But I think we've covered a lot in this video. I don't think I should go any further, especially if my math isn't even very freaking good, frankly. But maybe there's something here that I really wanted to get into. I'm just not sure what part I would want to mention. If there's anything important here. A lot of theory. A lot of freaking theory, for sure. I did say it. I did promise I was going to talk about this, didn't I? So let me at least honor my word here as best I can. And also I had a bunch of models that I was hoping to show. This here is Purgatorio, but these are the 7 staircases. Lust is at the top, for many. So this is tough. And then before that's validity, right? And that 6-7 transition, if there's any mathematics that I have to show you all, okay, is that at some point the light, 1/3 of the light will be taken away from heaven, and we can actually find the quote there. But basically, if we go down back to this list of events, so basically this last one, what is this last one? Because we have all these freaking events. When does the 7th actual angel show up? Right? Okay, and it says, basically, ain't no God's country, it's now God's planet. Ain't no God's country, it's now God's planet. And yeah, the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant? Ark of the Covenant? Guys, come on. Where was that? Where'd it go? Here we go. The Ark of the Covenant is gonna show up. So that's happening, and it's a spaceship. It's a vessel, It's all this. So be prepared. Be prepared to get off the planet. If there's any person, we're not gonna make a shout out. Oh goodness. Let's see here. I remember this was a really sad Simpson episode. Was it this one? They tried to get off the planet. It didn't work out. So yeah. I think the women get to go, right? The women got to go. That's right. All right. Anyways, I'm joking. I kid. So, I think we're pretty much wrapping all this up, but I got to show you this equation. Let's not forget this. And so I just want to talk about one particular part. Again, it's the we have to talk about the. So I talked about this part. So this event here is essentially, what is this? This event is I think opening of heaven, basically. Grand opening, Okay. Pretty sure that's essentially what happens, with the 7th trumpet. So we've got 777 Okay. And so far, so good. I think too much for one. That's the first problem. But also, second problem is that we still got one more column here that I haven't filled in, and this is because these are going to be the 7 trumpets. These trumpets are being called by all these beings, all these angels, and I'm running out of space here, so I don't know if I can can I move this? Oh gosh, what happened? Okay. Oh man, this is freaking pain. Okay, it says interpretations. I'm just gonna use examples. Try to save some space here. And for some reason, this thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, we've got. Let's start with Ephesus. Right. Hopefully, this table is really freaking all over the place. But no, it's not going to be perfect, so it's okay. Ephesus, starting with Ephesus, let's actually talk about the 7 trumpets. The first trumpet, which one is this, right? What happens when you have the tree of life and you become greedy, right? We can kind of more or less apply this formula. We can move some of the components about. I guess from what I'm going to talk about right now is let's get rid of what? You know what? I'm going to create a new each group's disruption. I'm going to call this an equation. I'm going to make this like a general equation, and it's basically the following. It is what happens when you have gift plus sin. What do you get? You get trumpet. Basically, that's the equation. And what is the first trumpet? Do you think that happens when you have the tree of life and you get greed? What happens? What do you think happens? Well, apparently it's hail, fire, and lava, i.e. blood. Okay, but it's like lava, blood of Mother Nature, so it's going to be lava. So what is this? I have no idea, but presumably this is like nuclear war. This could be nuclear war, maybe? That's really scary, man. It's really fucking scary. But hail and fire plus technology? I don't understand. Dr. Manhattan, guys? Number 2. Great mountain is thrown into the sea. And basically, what happens? What do you think happens? It's thrown into the sea. What do you think happens, right? Well, let's find out. So the first angel blew his trumpet. Second angel, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. So what do you think that what do you think that could be? Huh. This is really interesting to me. What's going on here? Okay. But yeah, Yellowstone. I have reason to believe that's the Yellowstone. Again, why not? Right? Why not? Okay, let's moving along. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light might be darkened, and a third of the day might be kept from shining. Here's the equation, by the way. This is probably like the most important equation, apparently, if you want to be like clever. It's 1 minus 1 over 3. What does that equal to? That's 2 over 3. Okay, that's 2/3. You're 2/3 of the way there. But what is that, if you want to simplify that into an irrational number? I guess that is an irrational number, right? But if you want to simplify it into like, I guess it's called a floating point, right? What is that? What do you think that is? It is going to be 0.666. That's all it is. Actually, technically, what it really is, that's actually not even what it is. That's not even what it is. That ain't even it. That's not even it. I'll show you what it is. One moment here. Gotta get all these, all this here. They got accents. There's a little accent here. Here we go. There you go. We'll leave it at that, right? I put this hat over it to suggest that this is like an ongoing process. Okay. Right. This is this is eternal. This is an eternal process right here. Okay. Maybe eternity is not so long. Right. That's how the saying goes. Right. Forever is not so long. But this is for sure like a long freaking time. Okay, it goes on and on and on until maybe mathematically it does change. You never know. Okay, so that's the equation I wanted to show you. Is this formula? Be aware of what this is the mark of the beast, and that's very relevant. So as we carry on, let's carry on. We have. What's the next event? So that was the fourth angel blowing the trumpet. Here's the next part that's really freaking amazing. It's a very beautiful moment. But I will insert it here. Okay? And this moment here I'm gonna merge the cells here, and this moment is called the eagle cry. The eagle's cry. This is when the eagle will cry. Right here. That's the eagle's cry. Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on earth at the blast of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow. Big old. God! All right. So there you have it. So that's kind of like an intermission, if you will. And maybe I think maybe a little tea time, right? Nice. All right. Now, let's keep it going. We're not done yet. Okay, so the fifth trumpet. Well, this is when stars fall from heaven, right? And it says here, and the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fall from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. Okay. So, fallen angel opens bottomless pit. We've heard this story before. Okay, this is Lucifer, right? All that stuff. Fallen angel opens bottomless pit. Need I say more? No. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. So these are straight up demons, okay? Just demons coming out from the portal of hell, ruthless creatures. You know, we can look it up if we really want to see, you know, some ideas. Concept art. There are many. I think the one I really want to show is this here Moloch, you know, which is relevant. It's a jellyfish. It's a giant jellyfish, okay? You know, but the Moloch is also a very, very freaking relevant freaking thing, okay? Super relevant in all of this, okay? But essentially, you know, different rumors and ideas as to like what the lore behind it all. But some of the images I saw were really interesting. You know, you got this like giant dog, you know, going on here. You know, what's up with that? You know, the baby and the child sacrifice thing, super sketchy there. You know, but it's like, we kind of know, you know, look at this. Like, we kind of know what we're dealing with here, right? This is straight up Satan stuff, right? It's got to be, right? So, you know, that's going on, okay? So it's super like sketch, the whole thing, okay? Especially some of the concept or some of these paintings, right? So anyways, you know, I will leave it here, you know, and then, you know, any of those who have the courage to do any deeper research, you know, by all means, but do please be careful and take care of yourselves because, you know, it's really like intense. This shit ain't easy, okay? To like handle, you know? So there's that. What's next? Let's see here. So it's just not good, you know. Smoke, scorpions, you know, freaking whatchamacallit, demon locusts, right? They're allowed to torment for 5 months, but not kill them, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. So this sucks. And in those days, people will seek death and will not find it. They will not die, but death will flee from them. So 5 months. So it's not exactly like what does the 5 months mean, right? But it's 5 months. Hell doesn't happen in just a day or an hour. It's a slow buildup, okay? You know, so it's intense. And presumably we're all going to still be here on Earth when all this is happening. So there's that. You know, in appearance of locusts, were like horsemen prepared for battle, right? These are, I believe, the 4 horsemen. You know, they have as a king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name is in Hebrew Abaddon, and in Greek he's called Apollyon. Okay, the first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still yet to come. Okay, so we're not done yet. This is getting long, but we're gonna keep going. So let's keep it going. Then the 6th angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from our 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying, to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. Okay, so, you know, there apparently were angels that were buried in the ground. I believe, you know, I did a quick Google search of this. You know, like, I'm like, what could this be? Right? And, you know, I lost the Google search, but, you know, I'm thinking if they were buried underground, you know, I'm pretty sure these are Greek titans. Somehow, I think these are Greek titans that are somehow like released from the earth. Okay, and shit gets intense. So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year. So they've been waiting for a long time. Were released to kill a third of mankind. So this is where like people are actually dying now. Presumably, we would have had casualties before, right? With all the other, freaking, cosmic events. I would have presumed that a lot of human beings would have already been dead by now. The number of the mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. That's 2 million. I heard their number, and this is how I saw the horses in my version and those who rode them. They wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur. Oh, this gets good. And the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and the fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. Okay? By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by fire, smoke, and sulfur coming out of their mouths. Dude, these is dragons. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails. For their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound. Okay, these are ruthless dragons. Okay, so straight up dragons show up. Okay, so dude, Mordor again. Here's a shout out, big old shout out. Okay, right? Guys. Okay. Mordor army. Let's check it out. Okay. Damn, these are orcs. Coming out here to fight, man. Look at all this. And then you got... What was it? What was the other example? It was the Marvel, the Marvel analogy, right? So, hopefully you're getting a sense as to where I'm getting at, that I have reason to believe that there is a real army, and it's apparently an army of orcs, right? Whatever orcs may be, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. So, keeping it going, we have a lot of information to unpack with this for sure, but pretty much, I think every like medieval lore, they all sort of have orcs, right? Lord of the Rings, Warhammer 40K, and there's probably more, but those are the main two that come to mind. Pretty much the same species, right? Analogous story. So, as we carry on, we got to figure out what to do next, right? I got to figure out what the next move is going to be. The rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, nor give of the worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood. Oh, these are communists, by the way. If you still worship material, which cannot see, hear, or walk, nor did they repent of their murders or their sorceries or their sexual immorality or their thefts. Basically, you guys, folks, don't worship matter or false idols. Don't be a Nicolaitanian. That's basically, what it is. Don't be a Nicolaitanian, and definitely work on developing seven deadly sins, that kind of thing. Okay, no, don't do that. You want to get rid of the seven deadly sins, and you want to focus on chakras and primary spirits, right? I guess the only thing I can say, or what I've learned, is that if you really want to let go of some sort of bad habit or something like that, or you're really attached to a pleasure, you simply run its course. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. You just run its course, and eventually you're gonna have to pay, back all that karma, all that negative karma. You're gonna have to pay it back, because, that's just how it goes. So it's not free. That's just how it goes. Okay. So that's that. So now let's figure out what else to do. Try to figure out what else to do. As we now move on, I think I'm done with chapter 9. I think that's why, now we can move on to chapter 10. That's chapter 9. We're done with chapter 9. Let's move on to chapter 10. Then I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, wrapped in a cloud, and a rainbow over his head. So this is now the rainbow angel, which I believe is the angel of death. Okay? And basically, things go down, right? This is super intense. This is like super, super intense. A bunch of events, and I took the little scroll, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. It says, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Then, chapter 11, then I was, oh man. So, a bunch of things to point out. A bunch of things. But basically, what can I focus on here there is something that I can give you all that would be of insight. It is going to take 1260 days, so if you want to do some math over here, if you do 1260 and you divide it by, 4, you end up with, let's just do it over here. 1260 divided by 4. 315 days. So it's about 4 years. It's about 4 years. I thought it was going to be 365, but it's not. Okay, so there is that. Then we've got what else? We get details about the description of heaven. There are 2 olive trees and 2 lampshades. Stuff goes down. It's basically like Star Wars, pretty much, from what I understand. But I do believe that these 2 groups, the olive trees and the lampshades, are actually a reference to 2 other major religions in the world. And I believe that this is I have reason to believe that the Muslims and the Buddhists are going to fight the good fight, and they're going to they're going to fight the good fight. But as far as according to what it's saying here, unfortunately, it's still not enough to stop the beast. It's still not enough to stop the beast. And so what ends up happening, humanity gets its ass whooped, basically. We get our asses whooped. It's pretty bad. It's pretty fucking bad. So, that happens. Apparently, we leave the age of Aquarius, presumably because now the Earth is burning up and everything. And now we enter the age of Leo. And apparently the universe will change in a sense. And when that happens, there will be some who are ballsy enough to go into this Mordor and go on the offensive. And they're going to go on the offensive and they're going to invade Mordor. And they're going to go through the portal and they're going to try to stop. They're going to do everything in their power to stop Mordor, right? And so, coming more full circle, let me see if I can find it. I had a photo. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So, folks, big shout out, okay? Big shout out, man. This to me is in essence what I believe to be the beast, effectively. I have reason to believe that this figure here is the beast, okay? And this beast is real and does exist and is building a massive army to invade, to attack Earth, humanity, and so forth, okay? This is, And so that's that. I think I've explained how more or less how it will happen, right? And where the invasion will begin. In fact, it is another covenant. Tell that to the covenant. It's not necessarily the I don't think it's a God's covenant necessarily. Um, but then again, I could be wrong. Maybe it is God's covenant. Actually, I have reason to believe that it is God's covenant. And what I'm saying is odd because the reality is that the devil is nothing more than another angel serving God. Okay, and it's just like, oof, this whole thing is one big like lesson. So it's like an intervention. It's really like one giant intervention. So, if we continue, so this is like where I can throw in more conspiracy theory. This is essentially conspiracy theory. This place, this is Carcosa. Okay, this is mythology. Apparently, it's a big, crazy area, but there's two pieces of evidence that make it very clear to me that Carcosa is the place. A, it has a red star. B, it has a red star. Okay, kind of like Mordor's eye, and it has black stars. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking that Mordor is actually Carcosa. But if you look at the concept art, I mean, this was a big one to me. This image here, it's like, whoa, that's really intense. And if you want evidence from the Bible, that's a little bit more like robust. I just want to read to you. He describes this so-called city by which the beast comes from. This is, we're now in 11:8, and it says, and the Lord says, and their dead bodies will lie in the streets of the great city that symbolically is called Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord was crucified. Okay, so oof. I think I just understood the difference there. By the way, I mean, there was a rip. I think this is where the Egyptian king was I may have been killed. There's a powerful quote somewhere. I'm gonna pull it up. Oh man. There was something, man. Oh yeah, here we go. What is the mark of the beast? I had to figure what that is. What is the mark of the beast? I looked it up, and it said, then I saw another beast. There was actually one really good quote, right? Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. I had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the breast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breaths to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might even cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. Okay, and by the way, that was, last thing I got to read is, this calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. And to quote, emotional I is sex, sex, sex. Okay? Emotional I is sex, sex, sex. That is the mark of the beast. Okay? Now, if we look at pride, I don't know if it's pride or lust. I'm not sure. But here it's like somewhere down here. It's like a real deep core of humans. Maybe this is where my model may be not so precise anymore, but it's somewhere between both, maybe, because I think the root is the tail, and I believe the sacral is like literally your genitalia. It's your sac, right? So that is where the mark of the beast apparently resides. I'm pretty sure that's just your butthole. Okay, I think that might be just your butthole. Okay, so yeah. Now, another thing I want to point out. This is 6:17, right? 6:11 more or less to 6:17. Was that what I wanted to read? Or I think this might be 3. Hold on. We're in Revelations. Now I'm in chapter 13 right now. Yeah, I'm in chapter 13 right now. Got it. This is 13, my mistake, not 3, 13. And I think what I read there was 14, more or less 14 through... Oh man, no, that's not right. Revelations, oh no, excuse me, 13, chapter 13. Oh yeah, here it is, 13, 14, and by the signs that is allowed to work, and then it says, this calls for wisdom, let one who has understanding calculate the number. Well, I'll tell you this, Bible is a long story, and I like to, when I study, I enjoy, looking like back and forth, right? Especially if it's a good textbook, right? You want to be able to look back and forth, right? So, that said, let's go back to Genesis. Let's circle around back to Genesis. And let's go to chapter 13. And let's just read 13, 14 through 13, 18, I believe. Okay? And, this is a whole other part. It says, now the men of Sodom were wicked and great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abraham after Lot had separated from him, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land that you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your offspring can also be counted. Arise and walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I will give it to you. So Abram moved his tent and came and settled by the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. Okay, and so I think on that note, therefore what? I'm not sure. Therefore something, right? Did I miss any important details? Well, I just want to maybe we can circle back around. If I just want to really finish everything. But I think I am gonna wrap it up here, folks. I mean, that's a really good note to end it on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But more importantly, let me know if you have any suggestions, feedback, insights, because this. Chances are there's something wrong here. I know I'm going to get torn to pieces in comments and whatnot, but that's fine. No problemo, because I'm pretty sure this was really fascinating for me. This was super fascinating for me. This was just a huge, big moment for me, as far as, making sense of my journey in life on Earth, so forth. Okay, so, yeah, what can I say? I appreciate, and, I'll see you all on the other side. All right, so take care.